from jumping to her death, so she pulls out a knife and threatens him to stay away from her because she needs to die. She also says that if he comes any closer, he will contract a deadly disease that will surely kill him. But as she is saying all this while pointing a knife at him, the guy just walks forward into the knife. The girl screams because she doesn't want to murder anyone before she dies, but the guy just grabs her and says, "Kids these days don't know how to do things anymore. If you're going to jump off a bridge, you've got to do a flip." He then lifts her by her face and plops her down on the other side of the bridge. For someone who just got stabbed, he seems to be acting very lively and asks what the deadly disease is going to be. Will it be like liquefying organs or spontaneous dismemberment? However, it was much worse than that. The guy falls onto a train and splats on the windshield. The girl sits there and cries because she has done it again and dragged someone down to their death because she took too long to end herself. However, as she is still crying, the dude's head comes rolling up to her and is somehow still alive. It tells her that he finally understands what she meant by deadly disease as he repairs his body and regenerates fully. However, the clothes do not come with a package, causing the girl to get scared and punch him in the nuts. Don't worry, those will grow back too. She runs away from him thinking he is a zombie, but he doesn't want to let her go and grabs her, saying he isn't a zombie but rather he is undead. He heard her mention that her disease was unlucky, so he wanted to ask a few questions about that. But soon after, the police begin to close in on the location due to reports of a dude going splat on a train. And right now he's a naked man carrying a screaming girl, so he needs to get out of here. He uses his blood as rocket boots and propels himself into the sky. Later, he explains how he was flying with his blood, and he tells her that he regenerated his legs at high speed and shot them out to use the momentum to fly. But she wasn't paying attention to his explanation because she was trying to escape. However, he didn't bring her up here just to let her go, so he dangles her by her legs and says he still has some questions to ask. She's afraid that her unluck will trigger again if he keeps touching her, but it's quite a long way down if he lets go. She says it's fine since she was planning on dying today anyway, but after a brief trip on the merry-go-round, she is too scared to continue and promises to tell him everything she knows about unluck. She explains that when she was 8, her parents were about to go on a business trip together. They said they'd be gone for a week, so she hugged them goodbye and gave them kisses. However, an hour later, the plane went boom. From that day, anyone who came in direct contact with her skin got hurt in some way or another. So, she began dressing to cover up as much as possible. After saying this, the guy takes the opportunity to slip his hand under her shirt for some direct boob skin contact, while still butt naked, to test out the unlucky effects. Sure enough, somehow a plane with a load of bananas fell right on top of the guy. The girl takes the opportunity to escape, while the guy is still regenerating, but she slips on a banana and goes off the edge of the building. As she falls, she is in disbelief that her life is going to end because of a banana. She can't get to do anything fun or interesting, never fell in love, and No Game No Life finally got a second season. She can't die yet. Luckily, the guy doesn't plan on letting her die so easily and flies down with his meat propulsion, sticking a bone in the wall to slow their fall. The guy tells her that he won't be letting her go so easily since he has finally found someone who might be able to put an end to his absurdly long life. If he can figure out what makes her unluck tick, he might be able to use it to create the biggest stroke of unluck she has ever seen and maybe actually kill him for good. So now, he plans to take her to his hideout to find a way to end himself. Meanwhile, some people in suits are watching him fly off and have been given the order to apprehend the girl after they have confirmed her abilities. Back at the hideout, they haven't introduced themselves to each other yet, but the guy is Andy and the girl is Fuko. Andy has already tested out the change in effect with duration of contact, so now he wants to move on to the surface area and asks her to take off all her clothes for maximum surface area. Unsurprisingly, she runs off. She can handle him touching her to kill himself, but she is not mentally prepared to strip naked for him. He chases her and tells her that this is only because she hasn't fully explained the ability to him, but she just doesn't want to tell him. While running, she gets her jacket caught on a hook, and it comes off, revealing that she has that Rapunzel kind of hair. He can't help it since anyone who tries to cut her hair would only end up dying because of her. Hearing this, Andy grabs her chin, pulls out a hairdresser bag, and begins to cut her hair. She's worried since unluck will activate as soon as he lets go of her, but he says he'll be fine. She asks him if he used to be a hairstylist, and he says he was one ages ago. He finishes off her haircut, and she is really happy with it. But now that the haircut is done and he has been holding her for 15 minutes, something big must be coming. A few seconds later, Andy's head is chopped off, but not because of any natural disaster, but rather because of the soup guys. They came to apprehend Fuko and were prepared with a capsule to keep Andy from regenerating. Fuko was about to tell him to leave her because she believed they came here to rescue her, but she couldn't be more wrong. They're just here to capture them for themselves. They are an organization that is meant to keep the people with strange powers like Andy and Fuko in check, and Fuko was high on their priorities list. Her power sucks the luck out of anyone that touches her. However, a layer of clothes seems to prevent that effect. Her powers are certainly dangerous, and what's worse is that they have no other applications aside from killing people, which is what they believe Andy was trying to do. However, Fuko corrects them and says the only person Andy wanted to kill was himself. The leader of the group gets agitated and tells her to shut up, or he might just kill her anyway since her power is already really dangerous. But she continues to speak and thanks Andy for actually touching her without fear, and being relatively kind to her. Just then, the unluck from Andy touching her from before kicks in and strikes where his head is, and also the guy that was holding the capsule. They fall into a hole, and Andy is now free to regenerate his body and do as he pleases once more. The leader tells the others not to panic. Even if they can't kill him outright, they can still cut him up into tiny pieces and possibly reseal him again. After all, he is still only an amateur when it comes to fighting. However, that is where they are wrong. Sure, right now Andy is only an amateur, but that is only because he gave himself brain damage to repress some memories to save on disk space. However, if he simply regenerates that part of his brain, then 100 years of fighting experience comes rushing back to him. And with all that experience and an immortal body, no one could ever dream of winning a fight against him. Though the soup cronies were able to do some considerable damage to Andy, he easily slashed and killed them. After that, he blocks all the memories again because his brain is starting to lag from overload. The soup man realizes that Andy would surpass him in all aspects if he tried to confront him. So he switches to some more underhanded measures and threatens to kill Fuko if Andy doesn't cut off his head and toss it over without regenerating at all. Andy is disappointed that he doesn't get to fight the guy anymore, but if Fuko's life is on the line, then he is going to comply with the ultimatum. Fuko tells him to give up on her and just take care of himself. It's better if she dies anyway since she has hurt so many people with her powers. But Andy doesn't give a damn about her opinion. He decides to save her life, and that's what he's going to do, even if it ends up with him in some underground laboratory. Fuko is touched that he would be willing to risk his freedom for her despite only having known her for a total of 2 hours. So she decides to give Andy what he wants. She knows how to trigger the worst outcome of unluck, and to do that, she breaks out of her captor's grasp and jumps in the air to kiss Andy's head as it falls to the ground. Andy realizes what she just did, so he holds the soup guy in place and tells Fuko to get the hell out of there quickly, as he waits for what is about to come with a huge smile on his face. A freaking meteorite falls from the sky and right onto the building, blowing it up along with Andy and the soup guy. Safe to say that Andy's hideout has been destroyed, and Fuko sits there upset that Andy might be gone for good this time. However, he walks out of the building missing a few teeth and a sword in his chest, and thanks her for the help back there. She finally introduces herself as Fuko and asks him for his name. But he doesn't remember since that was part of the repressed memories. Since she can't have him going around without a name, Fuko comes up with Andy for him as a name, and he is fine with it. Andy comments on how one kiss caused so much damage to him. He says it'll probably do a lot more if they smashed, and hearing that, Fuko is back to running again. But that's where this video ends. If you want to see more of this series, let me know in the comments section. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.